Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by today. If you're an old subscriber of mine, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new here, please join the family by hitting the subscribe button. Here I share my life experiences and some of my fun moments. If you find this kind of stuff interesting, please click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you can hear all I have to gist. Yeah, so recently I became a member of the ACCA, and I have a lot to share around how I passed 4 ACCA papers in 4 months. Yeah, you heard that right, guys. Yeah, so around this time last year, August of 2020, I didn't have ACCA. I was new to ACCA. I hadn't written any exam in ACCA before. It was all new to me. But then I put in for the September diet of 2020 and the December diet of 2020. So by I think by 8th of December actually I was done with all of my papers, and so that was it, guys. I passed all 4 papers. For you to be watching this, you want to know how did you do it? What can I learn from you, Betsy? And then how can I apply it to myself? So before we go further, I'm going to introduce myself briefly because I know a few people might be watching me for the first time. My name is Betsy Oji Ofwebu. I'm an accountant. I'm a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, which is ICANN. I'm a member of the ACCA UK/Global, which is why you're watching me probably, and I'm a member of the CPA Canada. So yeah, so guys, it's been a long journey here, but today we're talking about the ACCA. So okay guys, so yeah, so I'm going to talk about my background because it might not make sense to talk about how I passed 4 papers without you understanding how I became an ACCA member with only 4 papers, right? So yeah, I had mentioned earlier that I had my ICANN, which basically ACCA considers a professional body that takes rigorous training. Anyone who has written ICANN exams know that we more or less mirror the ACCA papers. The syllabus is likely the same in some papers. So yeah, so ICANN has some kind of membership understanding with ACCA, with which I was able to claim a lot of exemptions with my ICANN. So yeah, so I only started from the professional level, so which is why I had 4 papers and ethics module, skills module, the ethics and professional skills module to take. So yeah, so I did those 5 courses, if you like, within the 4-month period. So yeah, so why did I do it though? I really needed to get my CPA membership, and at the time ACCA members could get a direct membership to the CPA. So yeah, so that's why I took ACCA exams. That's the long and short of it, right? So yeah, so because in April of 2020 there was some kind of memo going around, issued by the CPA in Canada, saying that ACCA members who wanted to become CPA members could apply for their membership within a year. So anybody who didn't meet that 1 year buffer that was provided was gonna have to, I don't know, face a different destiny, a different fate, right? Yeah, so so I quickly took in to take the ACCA exams because I didn't even have ACCA at the time. So that was the fastest route for me to get the CPA in Canada. There's no way I would have let that kind of opportunity slide, right? So yeah, so that's why I quickly registered for my ACCA papers and I took them in that 4-month period, and yeah, here we are, right? I have the ACCA in the bag, I have the CPA in the bag, and here I am telling you how. Okay, so now that you know why I did have to take the ACCA that quickly, I believe you'll be able to appreciate some of the tips that I have to give. I didn't have the luxury of time to gamble and fail and write again and fail. No, I had a deadline. April of 2021 I had to have submitted my CPA membership, so it meant I had to get on with my ACCA, pass all the papers and quickly submit to be able to meet their timeline. So I didn't have 1 day to play. Like, I was serious about it, right? Yeah, so that's why it worked out for me like that. So which brings me to my first point, right? So how you're going to be able to pass 4 ACCA papers or even 2 ACCA papers, or I don't know, depending on how you want to take it. If you want to take 1 per diet, if you want to take 2, or you want to take 4. The thing about it is, the reason why you are taking that many papers is going to be your number 1 propellant, to passing those exams. For me, I've given you guys my reason. I was rushing towards a deadline that the CPA Canada had issued at the time. So that was like my fuel. That was the thing that that made it happen for me, because the opportunity cost, like, what was I going to lose by not passing the ACCA exam? It was a whole lot. I would have to have taken like a 3-year journey to become a CPA, which is something I just did within, you know, less than a year. So think about it, right? If you were in my shoes, you probably have studied the same way I did. So yeah, so that's the thing. The first reason, the first way you're going to pass ACCA quickly is why. Why are you taking ACCA exams? Is it required by your office? Is it necessary for some kind of promotion that you're seeking? Or do you require it because you work in like a public accounting firm where you know you need it for your job? Like you need it to show up to your clients and sound like you're technically competent because you're certified? Or are you just taking it because, well, your parents just want you to take it? You know, so those reasons are going to be your number one fuel of how you pass your ACCA exams. So now, so we've talked about the first one, which is basically your why. Why are you doing it? Now let's go right into the how. So how did I do it? You guys will notice I'm looking down from time to time. Yeah, I do have a notepad just because I want to you know, make it you know, just kind of help myself keep myself on track. How did I pass 4 papers in 4 months? Now, my background was instrumental to passing 4 papers in 4 months. I studied accounting for my undergraduate degree. I have a BSc, bachelor's degree in accounting. Yeah, so that's the number one reason, and I did really well in my bachelor's, so my accounting background is quite solid. I have a first class in accounting from Nasarawa State University, Kefi. Yeah, so I schooled in Nigeria. Yeah, and I did have a strong background in accounting. After my undergraduate degree, I went on to take on the, you know, the ICANN exams, which is basically Nigeria's own body for qualifying accountants, right? Basically, I know the nitty-gritties of exams and all of that, so I know how not to waste time when you're taking an exam. You want to get it done. You don't want to just waste time. You don't want to waste all your years taking professional exams. So each diet you give in 100%. So that's part of it. So my background was instrumental to helping me pass those 4 papers in 4 months. Another thing that I think was instrumental was my work experience. So straight out of school, I worked in a small consulting firm, and then I went on to work for the Big Four. So it's just been all, you know, kind of working within an accounting, you know, environment and all of that. So you have sufficient training, you have loads and loads of training, but sometimes you want to run away from training. So yeah, so that's how much my background kind of just fueled who I am. Now it doesn't mean I know all about ACCA because I, you know, worked with the Big Four, not necessarily, right? But it just kind of puts you in that mood. Like, I don't know how to put it, like you're just working and then you're thinking accounting naturally. That's how it was for me. So when that challenge came up that I had to take those ACCA papers to be able to qualify for my CPA within that short time, I mean, guys, it just meant, okay, girl, you have to get to work. Now, my background as well as a wife and as a mom, and, you know, having a little baby to cater for, all of that also fueled me, because the truth is, it's one of two things. You either give in everything and you pass, or you now become someone who's like taking and retaking papers and retaking, and I have a baby. So it had to just be something that I cannot continue to do this. I would probably just not ever do it, or I give in 100% so that I, you know, miss some of my moments with my child, but at the end of the day I have that's the exam certificate, right? So now I have all the time for my child. So yeah, so that's what it was for me as well. Those things just helped to fuel me to give 100%. So yeah, so find the reasons that you have in your mind why you want to take the ACCA exams and why you want to just get everything out of it, right? Even if your background is not accounting and all of that, these are just the reasons I think helped me. It would be silly of me to not acknowledge that some of these past experiences that I have, you know, helped to, you know, enable me to pass the exam as quickly as I did, right? Yeah. So now let's get right into the technical part of it. People still fail, right? I still know people who have BScs in accounting. I know people who work in the same offices where I did work before now, who may not just have passed the ACCA exams yet. So now, what are those things that can still be done to help everyone, regardless of your background, pass these exams as quickly as you want to pass them? This will bring me to the resources. So what are the resources available to you as an ACCA student, you know, to pass your exams? Now I'll break them into 2. So there are ACCA resources and then there are non-ACCA resources. So yeah, so ACCA resources are basically the ACCA website. Like if you go to the ACCA website, it's compartmentalized. You see, like, you know, place for members, you see the place for students. Once you open your My ACCA and you begin to, you know, delve in to see the papers you are taking, you see a lot of stuff on that website. You see the technical articles, you see the examiner's comments, you see the past questions, you see, like, you know, a lot of study resources, really. So those resources are available to you as a student, but then you are not going to have the time to want to go through all of them, right? Which is why you should watch this video to the end and hit subscribe so that you know how best to pick the main things and, you know, just for the purpose of passing your exam, you can always go back later and watch all the ACCA resources that you want to watch. But when you have this kind of short timeline, you know, you want to save on your time, right? You want to be efficient with your time. So yeah, so I'm going to talk more right now into the ACCA resources that you need. So the main ACCA resources that you need are going to be the study materials and the practice kit. So ACCA has 2 learning providers that provide these resources, which are the BPP and the Kaplan. Choose whatever study pack you want to use, choose whatever revision kit you want to use. I would only give you one tip though: use the same, you know, pack and kit. So if you're using BPP, you know, study text, please try and use BPP revision kit. It just makes your life much easier. It just makes the flow of, you know, what is being, you know, explained better understandable to you, right? So yeah, so I can't remember which one I used for which paper, and I don't even think it matters because either of them is really good. Either of them works. I know a lot of people spend time asking questions on, like, you know, websites, which one should I use? I don't think you should bother about which of them you should use. Just, you know, focus your attention on just, you know, actually studying the material than which one of them is better. I don't think those things matter really. That's my personal experience, right? So once you've determined that you have your study materials, which are the BPP study text and the BPP revision kit, the next question will be, do you want to study on your own or do you want to go for lectures? Now, the thing about going for lectures is, at the time when I took these exams, I didn't have access to, you know, lectures. I didn't have the luxury, let me use that word, of attending lectures. So the only lectures at the time were in Toronto, and it was just a lot of, I mean, it was very costly. I don't know, writing ACCA exams in Canada is hard, very hard. It's not like when I was back in Nigeria where we had like tutorial centers left, right and center. Here it was a total different ball game, right? So yeah, so I didn't have that luxury, which I think kind of fueled me, because eventually I studied on my own for most of my papers. There was only one paper, I think it was SBR, that I attended an online tutorial center, which was really hard because time zones, right? So this was being held in Nigeria, so I had to wake up really early, you know, join the classes. It was a lot of work. So I'm not even sure I got as much as I would have really loved to get from that particular tutorial as I did from when I started to read on my own, which is why I said studying on your own might just be better for you depending on your circumstances and how much and how well you learn under these 2 methods. So either one as well can be fine, but I did self-study for like 80% or yeah, of what I, you know, used to write my exams. So that's me. I don't know about you. Yeah, so and then the non-ACCA resources that will be available to you are Opentuition. So Opentuition is a website that has, you know, free study materials, free practice questions, free lectures, which brings me to that. Like, that free lecture pack was really helpful because sometimes you just don't understand the concept. You can easily run there and watch the topic and watch someone explain it to you. It was helpful for me. Not everybody enjoys Opentuition, but I know I used Opentuition for my audit paper. I know I used it a lot for, especially for that audit, and I know I used it a bit for SBR as well at some point when I really needed some clarity. So yeah, so I would recommend Opentuition, and it's totally free, right? So yeah, so all of this I'm going to list in my description box. I'll give you guys links to some of these places I'm mentioning, but I'm just saying them so that in case you want to, you know, use them, if you haven't heard about them before, you can go on to do your research about them. But I think they're really good. I also was in a member of forums. So you're taking ACCA exams, you want to pass them quickly, you want to be on, you know, groups that people that are like-minded are on. So I personally joined a few WhatsApp groups, not a lot of them. I think I just joined one that had people that were seeking to move from ICANN through ACCA to CPA. So everybody kind of was geared to the same thing, right? Passing ACCA exams. That was all that was being talked about on that group. So it helps to just keep you reminded that you have something that you are doing. If you're just studying on your own with nobody really keeping you in check, you will likely just forget, right? And then one diet becomes 2 diets, and 2 diets become 3 diets, and then you just forget about it. So yeah, so have people that remind you that you have a goal ahead of you, right? Yeah, so I think that's one tip that you should not forget. Also, there are forums on like a Quora, there are forums like on a Reddit. Our ACCA is a Reddit group for ACCA related topics. I also go there from time to time, sometimes just to laugh. Really, these people throw a lot of jabs. Just, I don't know, like those things kind of just keep me in check, and it tells me that I have a goal ahead of me, right? Yeah. And then you also have YouTube. So you're watching me right now. Please hit subscribe. If you watched up to this moment, it means, I mean, you're learning something, right? So yeah, so please hit subscribe. Also subscribe to other YouTubers who talk about ACCA, how to pass different papers that you're taking. which I will be uploading right next after this video. So please turn on the bell so that you know when I upload these videos. How to pass SBR, how to pass SBL, how to pass APM, AFM, whatever it is, like the papers that affect you, right? You go onto YouTube and you watch them. It gives you the tips. It tells you those things that those people did that helped them to pass the exam. So you can also do them on your own, and I believe they would also be helpful to you. So I'm talking about the resources now, which is why I started with the ACCA resources. Then you move to the non-ACCA resources, where you have Opentuition. You also have, like I said, study groups that help you. So I joined a number of them, like I said, and I feel that it's helpful to also watch YouTube videos. Another important study resource that helped me was ACCA Pakistan. So ACCA Pakistan runs a practice to pass lecture series where they walk students through different difficult areas. It's usually more exam focused, so you're not nobody's gonna come and start defining concepts to you. It's kind of advisable to watch practice to pass when you are, like, I don't know, 1 week from your exam. Like at that point you also have studied, so you are not showing up blank, right? You are showing up, you know, with some kind of background. That's what I think. Except if you want to join them while they are shooting it, like while they are really, you know, doing the practice to pass, then fine. But I was never able to join them during that, so I had to join them after like it had been done. I just watched the videos, and I preferred to watch them, like I said, when the exams were drawing close. Another thing you want to do, like 1 week to your exams, at this point you want to just be, you know, practicing actual questions. So you go to the ACCA website, download 5 questions, just five, no more than 5 previous diets of whatever paper that you are taking. So if you're taking an SBR, please download 5 papers and scan through these papers. You don't even have to be solving them as you're reading through. You might not have the luxury of time to do that for all the papers, right? But just be able to say, I have seen this question before and I know what the examiner wanted as an answer. And how do you know what the examiner wants? You read the examiner's comments. It is important. Please do not show up to ACCA exams without knowing what the examiner wants of you. I don't know, guys. Like, it's so important to do that. You want to read the examiner's comments. What were the common pitfalls of students? Did they point it out, and what did they say could be done to avoid them in future exams? That's like, you know, saving yourself making the same mistake, right? Now you've read what the examiner wanted. Next time when you see the same question, at least you know what not to write. So that will leave you to better choices, right, than the students who took those exams. Yeah, so I think reading the examiner's comments are pretty key from those past questions. Now you can pick one diet at least and set yourself in an exam condition and at least practice one. So I have said download 5, but I said practice 1 at least. This is 1 full exam. Switch off your phones, put yourself in an exam condition for 3 hours and practice just 1. I think even after doing that, there's this zeal it gives you in your mind that you know you're ready for the exam. I did that for all my papers, at least 1, just 1. The other 4, you can just read them like an article, you know, just literally just read them. Yeah, so just read them and see what the examiners wanted as the responses to them. You don't have to like go on to actually practice them, right? Yeah. And then I think still on ACCA resources, the next thing I would say to really take cognizance of are the technical articles. Now people talk about technical articles a lot, but a lot of students just ignore it. I think it's just the fact that we are always pressed for time. So think of it this way. A technical article is just basically ACCA making a publication around whatever, you know, topic is kind of trending at the time in accounting. You know, these guys are, aside the fact that they are an examination body, they are actually an accounting regulator. Like, they are interested in, you know, new standards being developed, or like what are those exposure drafts that the IASB are looking at, you know, all of those kind of conceptual stuff, right? Yeah, so they're interested in those things. And then each time they notice, oh, they're about to release a standard, for example, maybe you have an IFRS 17, which was like the lazy standard coming out to replace the IAS, what was it now, 17, right? Yeah, which was leases, right? So now imagine a new standard coming out. They know what are like the reasons why the standard is even coming out, and why is it even a topical issue. So they go on to write a technical article around that, right? The chances are that in that year they would want to test something around that topic because it's a current issue. It's something that affects accounting as a discipline, as a body, as a profession, profession, right? So different things could come up. It might not even be something as technical as the standard. It could also be maybe, I don't know, big data or just cryptocurrencies or, you know, all of those kind of stuff. So these are things that have come to stay, and they are kind of new, relatively new, because, you know, not everybody knows how to account for them, how to recognize them, how to measure them on the financial statements and all of that. So yeah, so you want to read those technical articles, but again, you'll be pressed with the question of how many technical articles do you read when you have such a short time to prepare for the exams. I'll give you guys a tip again. So for technical articles, they are not long, they are not typically long, so I would say please read 10 technical articles per paper that you are taking. 10. Now, when would you be reading these articles? Please read your technical articles at most, or yeah, at most 3 days to your exam. So you want them here. Yeah, you want your technical articles just here. It's not something you want to have read like, I don't know, 1 week or, I don't know, four weeks before your exam. You likely have forgotten everything that thing was talking about. So kind of read them fresh, so that when you're in the exam hall, it's like, oh, I read this thing 3 days ago. You are likely to remember what the topic was about. Now, you're not reading them because you're going back to regurgitate them. No, you're just reading them to have an idea. Technical articles, all you need are an idea. Oh, I know what big data is all about. I know how to, you know, just make 1 or 2 sentences that make sense, that shows that you read it, right? You don't want to just sound like someone that just, oh, what is big data? Oh, that's data that is big. Nah. You want to have an idea of what to say that will make it sound like you studied this thing. Like, that's all you need. So read the technical articles. Once again, read them like an article, like, oh, yeah, just read them, right? Read them to have an idea of them. When you go into the exam hall, there will be likely a 10-mark question coming from those technical articles, and you want to just eat that question. Like, you want it to be the easiest thing to just quickly jot down something. And most times I notice that questions that are being set from a technical article are usually isolated, so they could just be like a 3B, like they are not usually linked to the main question. So that means if you just know the answer to that technical article, you will just get your full 10 marks and go. So guys, yeah, so that's like a pro tip from me. Take it from me, I didn't pass my ACCA exams like excellently with like 70s or 80s. Nah, I just passed 60, 55, 60. So yeah, so that's why I know these tips, because they are the easiest ways to just get your 10 marks here, 10 marks there, and then you're off, right? Yeah, so that's it, guys. So guys, yeah, so not to make this video long or anything, I just wanted to share some of my tips for passing ACCA papers in 4 months. You do not have to take 4 papers in 4 months, depending on your circumstances. Please pace yourself, as you know, space it out as much as you want. Like I said, the reason behind why you want to pass these exams would fuel you, would be the drive for why you achieve them in as much time, little time as you take, right? So yeah, so that's what it is for me. The ACCA resources, the non-ACCA resources, the groups to join, I already mentioned about, I think 4 groups: Quora, Reddit, WhatsApp. If you have a WhatsApp group that you already have people of like minds, it will be helpful to you as well. Do not join many groups. That is the thing. Just don't go joining every, because you will get confused. People will begin to, you know, throw things around and so many materials, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So no, do not join many groups. Now, this is for those who are actually self-studying. Joining groups will be very helpful to you. But if you're already attending a tutorial center, then, well, you might likely just join only the group that your tutorial center has set up. That way you're not confused by other externalities, you know, running through your mind and all of that, right? Yeah. And then some piece of general advice, guys. What I think you should just do is know that these exams are really just exams. Like, I think people just get so scared of exams that, you know, the fear alone doesn't even allow them really assimilate when they study. So no, so don't be scared of the exams. I wrote these exams under the most tensed condition, guys. I had literally just 2 diets to pass those 4 papers, else it would take me 3 years to become a CPA in Canada. Just imagine faced with that kind of devil and, you know, deep blue sea kind of situation. But I was so scared. I was working, I had a baby. These are like the, you know, circumstances that I had. So yes, I had every reason to be afraid of the exam itself. But no, it wasn't even the exam that was my problem, right? I just took it like it was an exam. So just go in, study your revision kit, practice your questions, do these things like I said, 5 practice questions, and at least solve 1. Take 10 technical articles and read them 3 days to your exam. You know, these are just like tips that I'm throwing here and there generally for any paper that you're writing, and I think you'll be fine, guys. So yeah, you will notice that I haven't gone into like exact details of which kind of resources I use for which of the papers. That's because it would make this video too long. So please, guys, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to load a different series where I talk about how to pass SBL, how to pass SBR, how to pass AAA, and how to pass APM, which were like the 4 papers I took to completion. Please subscribe to my channel so that you can enjoy those resources that I'm about to share, and share these videos with your friends and your loved ones writing ACCA. If you've learned anything, please drop me a comment and tell me what exactly it is you're taking, and just keep the community going. See you guys next time. Bye.